All right, guys, today we've got this Unitronic Catback that they've sent us for our MK8 Golf R project. And this is a beautiful piece of equipment. We're gonna go ahead and get it installed and then show you how it sounds and looks, because it should make a pretty astounding difference. All right, guys, so on this factory exhaust, it's designed to flow well and provide enough muffling where it's not going to be obnoxiously loud. However, in doing so, it does cause some restrictions. And the way that they've had to fit everything under here has created some pinch points. So the diameter of the exhaust is going to be increased with this Unitronic unit. But beyond that, as we go down, a lot of these bends aren't nearly as smooth as the Unitronic exhaust is. And then as we move towards the back, we actually have this pipe here that gets pancaked. And this is gonna cause a bit of a restriction and reduce flow, which could definitely impact performance. But then once we move out to the tips here, we've got long runners that are fairly small in diameter too. With this new exhaust that we're putting on, we should be freeing up quite a bit of flow, and it should add a good exhaust note to it too, even though that we will still have a muffler and we're adding a resonator to the mix. So we're really excited to see how it does, because it really should be a very beneficial exhaust system. Now, this exhaust is going to retain both factory valves. We'll be moving the actuators over from the OEM unit, and it will allow it to close off these or open these, which essentially will bypass the muffler. That will allow us to retain some level of exhaust note when we change from comfort, sport, and race. The difference should be much more significant than what we've observed with the factory exhaust. And at the end of the video, we'll go ahead and provide you a comparison of that as well. To begin disassembly, we've got to disconnect the actuators for the exhaust valves, and then we'll be able to start pulling everything down. The plan of action is going to be remove the braces, or the brace on this vehicle, and then pop out the rubber grommets from here and here, and then we'll drop down the brackets in the rear, and then everything should be able to come right out. So these clips up here can be a little tricky to get to. They have a little locking tab on top that you'll have to wiggle free. And once it is out, you can press down on it and get it to disengage. It may be beneficial to grab a little pick tool so that you can rock the locking tab back and forth. But once it is unlocked, should be relatively easy to disconnect. And I am not making a great example of this. There we go. Comes right off. And now we've got our electrical connections out of the way. We'll move it from the hanger where it's clipped to on both sides. This brace is held up by two 13mm nuts, but to get access to them, you've got to pull this down a little bit. You can pretty easily get enough access to get your tool in there. All right, so now that that brace is out of the way, we've got two hangers up here, the two hangers in the back, and one clamp right here. So what we'll do first is support the muffler and remove the fasteners from these two hangers. we'll be able to pop the other two out without too much trouble. These are pretty easily accessible. It's one 13mm bolt that will hold either one in. Now the only thing supporting this is this jack. All right, now we've got to disconnect the exhaust from the downpipe. All right, downpipe and exhaust have been freed. Now the only thing supporting the exhaust is two rubber hangers that we'll go ahead and disengage right now. All right, so with everything disconnected, it's time to lower our exhaust down. All right. I think this is. We've got to strip some parts from the factory exhaust. We've got to take the exhaust valve actuators off and swap them over to the new set and get these hangers off to put them onto the new exhaust as well. All right, so we've got the factory actuator and it will keep the spring that it comes with in place. Keep in mind, these will need to be in, I believe, the open position for them to mount up properly. There are two different sides to this. The one with the recessed circle goes down onto the valve itself and it will actually slide over it and pretty much lock in place. The other side has a castle shape on top and it will fit directly in line with the spring, which will lock and allow it to actuate the flat. So to get started, we've got to get everything lined up here. We've got our adapter on our spring, and when we set this in place, we can see that our slot is going to be running fairly horizontal here. So we can get the actuator placed on top of the studs and slowly start working it down. You don't want a lot of tension to be between the adapter and the spring or the flat, because you want it to be able to fall in place. Once it is lined up, you push everything together, make sure that the spring is sitting inside of the castle and that the adapter has fallen down onto the shaft of the flat. Okay, so we'll zap these down. And we just have to secure the other side here. All right, so everything is back together here. Last part of what we need to do is swap over the hangers and we can put this thing up. Block is hot. One sec. Something. That does fit beautifully. That's good. If that's not a nice exhaust, oh. Cool. We've got some adjustments to make back here, but everything else for the most part is lining up perfect.